wonderful day that I have got to meet you all again. I am Mrs. Malathi Mangaleshwaran from TT St. Mary's College, Trincomalee. Students, already we have discussed two lessons. One is writing, the other one is vocabulary activity. So today I have planned to do a grammar section. It's about reported speech. Okay, what is reported speech? Reported speech is a grammar we use if we want to tell another person about a conversation that took place in the past. It can be a news or a story to someone told to someone. Okay, that means reported speech we use to express what someone told in the past. For example, if someone told us directly, two people may have a direct conversation. From that conversation, somebody will express the idea to someone else. So, we can call this reported speech as indirect speech. So, what is the name of reported speech? What is the another name of reported speech? Indirect speech. Both are same. So, there are three types of reported speech we can do. Three types. One is statement, another one is imperative form, next one is question. So, when we do question, there are two types. One is WH question. So, there is another structure for question form. One is WH question. The other one is yes or no question. So, all 5 types we have different rules. So, according to that we have to write direct into indirect. Clear? Okay. So, today I have planned to do this statement part only. Later we will discuss imperative and question. Today let's discuss about statement form. So, when we do this direct speech into indirect, we have to do some changes. What are the changes we have to do? One is pronoun change. So, when we do direct into indirect, we have to follow some changes. We have to do some changes for the direct speech. What are the changes we have to do? One is pronoun change. We have to change the pronoun. Second one, time or place change. Third one, tense or verb change. According to this change, you have to do. Sometime you have to change 2, or sometimes you have to change all 3. But anyways, you have to focus these changes when you do direct into indirect. சரியா? பிள்ளைகள் இப்போ நாங்கள் வந்து டிரெக்டாக சொல்கிற ஒரு ஆள் வந்து 2 பேருக்கு இடையில் நடக்கிற ஒரு கன்வர்சேஷனோ கொஞ்சம் பேருக்கு இடையில் நடக்கிற டிரெக்டாக நடக்கிற கன்வர்சேஷனில் இருந்து இவங்க என்ன சொன்னாங்க என்ன நடந்துச்சுன்ற விஷயத்தை இன்னொரு தேர்ட் பர்சனுக்கு போயிட்டு நாங்கள் என்ன செய்ய போகிறோம், ரிப்போர்ட் பண்ண போகிறோம். இப்படி இந்த விஷயம் நடந்தது, இவங்க இப்படி சொன்னாங்க, இந்த இடத்துல இந்த விஷயம் இப்படி நடந்துச்சு என்று சொல்லக்குள்ள அதே மாதிரி போய் சொல்லுவோமா? நாங்கள் அப்படியே போய் சொல்லுவோமா அவங்கள்ட்ட? இன்னொரு தேர்ட் பர்சன்கிட்ட போய் அப்படியே சொல்லுவோமா? இல்லை. நாங்கள் சொல்லக்குள்ள we will do some changes, சில மாற்றங்கள் சொல்லுவோம். இப்போ நான் சொல்கிறேன், எனக்கு இன்றைக்கு கொஞ்சம் உடம்பு சரியில்லை, நான் சொல்கிறேன், என் ஃப்ரெண்டுகிட்ட சொல்கிறேன். என் ஃப்ரெண்ட் அதை எடுத்துக்கொண்டு போய் அவட ஃப்ரெண்டுகிட்ட சொல்லுவா. எப்படி சொல்லுவா? இவ சொன்னவ, இந்த பர்சன் சொன்னவ, அவட பேரை சொல்லி சொல்லலாம். இவ சொன்னா அவக்கு உடம்பு சரியில்லையாம். நான் என்னன்னு சொன்னேன், நான் எனக்கு உடம்பு சரியில்லை. அவ போயிட்டு எப்படி சொல்றா, அவக்கு உடம்பு சரியில்லை. சேஞ்சஸ் வருது தானே. அப்போ அந்த சேஞ்சஸை தான் நாங்கள் சொல்ல போகிறோம். விளங்கிட்டுதா? ළමයිට තේරුණාද? දැන් අපි reported speech කරද්දී දැන් දෙන්නෙකුට direct එයාලා direct එකෙන් කතා කරනවා. මූණ බලලා දෙන්නෙක් කතා කර කර ඉන්නවා. ඒ conversation එකේ ඉඳන් මොකද්ද අරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා මෙයාලාගේ කතාවත් තව එක්කෙනෙකුට ගිහිල්ලා කියනවා. එහෙම කියද්දී ඒ වගේම කියනවාද? කියප විදියටම කියනවාද? නැහැ නේද? දැන් මම කියනවා අද මට ටිකක් සනිප නැහැ කියලා කියනවා. එතකොට මගේ යාළුවා ගිහිල්ලා එයාගේ යාළුවට කොහොමද කියන්නේ? මෙහෙම මාලති කිව්වා එයාට සනිප නැහැලු. එහෙම නේද කියන්නේ? එතකොට චේන්ජස් එනවා. ඒ චේන්ජස් එක තමයි අපි කරන්න ඕනේ. Okay? So we have to focus those changes very carefully. If we focus those changes, we won't make any mistake when we do direct into indirect. Okay? So shall we discuss those changes one by one? Look at this. The first one is about pronoun change. So when you do direct into indirect, these are the pronoun change you have to do. Look here. One is okay, first one is subject pronoun. So we won't change singular pronoun. We won't change any singular. Singular will be as it is. இருக்கிற மாதிரியே வரும் singular changes. Only you have to change these three. If you have I in direct speech, you have to change he or she. According to the gender, you have to decide whether he or she. Okay? If you have we, you have to change as they. If you have you have to change I or we. It depends. Sometimes I can point a particular person. You have to do. Sometimes I can point out a particular boy. You have to do this work. So in that context, he will tell, I have to do, none. Mama kiyala kiyanava, I. Okay? Sometimes I can tell, you all have. You all. Ellarum. Hamoma. Kiyala kiyaddi, we. So according to the situation, you have to decide whether it is I or we. It's about subject pronoun. Only these three you have to change in reported speech. Okay? Likewise, object pronoun. If you have me in direct, you have to change as him or her. Him or her. If you have as us, you have to change them. And you will be me or us. Okay? Look at this. Possessive adjective. Adjective always come with a noun. That's already we know. Adjective always come with a noun. Describing a noun. Likewise, this pronoun function as an adjective. But it will talk about the possessiveness. Ownership of someone. ஒராளுட உடமையைத்தான் சொல்ல போகுது. Ownership of someone. Look at here. So always this possessive adjective will come with a noun. So if you have my, you have to write his or her. For example, I am telling my mother. My mother. So how can you change into reported? You have to take it out. This my. Instead of this, you have to put his mother or her mother. You have to decide. Okay. Next one. Our teacher. How can you change into reported? Their teacher. Their. If I say your brother means My brother or our brother. Your brother or your brother. It will be my or our. Okay. Next one, possessive pronoun. This is also talk about the ownership of someone, but it won't come with a noun. It won't. Okay. So mine, if you have mine in your direct speech, how can you write it? His or hers. If you have ours, you have to change it as theirs. If you have yours in direct speech, you have to change as mine or us. This is about pronoun change. So please go through these changes. Remember these changes. If you remember, easily you can change it when you do the activity. Okay? That's all about first change means pronoun change. Let's move to the next change. It's about time or place change. Time or place change. So look at this chart. These are some words you can find out in your direct speech. So if you find these words from your direct, simply you can change as in this way. For example, in your direct sentence, there's a word today. I went to school today. So how can you change in reported? That day. So you have to change as that day. If you have now in reported, how can you change this? Then or at that time, at the moment. Yesterday means the day before. Yesterday means the day before or the previous day. Both are correct. You can use the day before or the previous day. Also you can use it. Next one, last week. Last week means how can you change this? The week before or the previous week. Likewise, last month. The month before or previous month. Last year. The year before or the previous year. Next year means next. The following year or the year after. Tomorrow, the following day. Here means there. This, that. These, those. Ago, previously or before. Tonight means that day. That night. So this is about time or place change. Definitely you have to change according to this. When you do direct into indirect. When you do reported speech. So already we have discussed two changes. One is pronoun change. So you have to remember these pronoun change. And time or place change. Like this you have to remember. It's very easy if you remember those things. Simply you have to apply. You have to take the word and you are going to replace. Okay? பிள்ளைகளுக்கு விளங்கிட்டுதா? இப்போ உங்களுக்கு நாங்கள் 3 சேஞ்ச் இருக்குன்னு சொன்ன நாங்கள் அதில் 2 சேஞ்ச் டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம். இப்போ ப்ரோனவுன் சேஞ்சுண்டா பிள்ளைகள் ஐ என்ற வேர்ட் வந்தால் ஹியா ஷியான்றது தான் வரப்போகுது. வேறு ஒன்றும் அங்கே இடம் இல்லை. அப்போ எங்களுக்கு ஐ என்ற வேர்டை பார்த்தோன்னா ஸ்ட்ரைக் பண்ண வேணும். எஸ், ஐ ஹாவ் டு ரீப்ளேஸ் திஸ் வேர்டு. நான் இந்த வேர்டை எடுத்து போட்டு இந்த வேர்டை போட போகிறேன். அதுதான் நாங்கள் கன்சிடர் பண்ண வேண்டிய விஷயம். அப்போ எங்களுக்கு இந்த சேஞ்சஸ் ஞாபகம் வேண்டா சிம்பிளாக நாங்கள் என்ன செய்ய போகிறோம்? ඇප්ලයි பண்ணிக்கொண்டு போக போகிறோம். නේද? ළමයිට තේරුණාද? දැන් අපිට චේන්ජස් ටික දීලා තියෙනවා නේද? ඒ චේන්ජස් ටික මොකක්ද කරන්න ඕනේ? පාඩම් කරන්න ඕනේ. චේන්ජස් අපිට මතක තියෙනවා නම් අපි රිපෝටඩ් ලියද්දී I තියද්දී I එකේ අරගෙන heද sheද එන්න ඕනේ කියලා බලලා දාන්න ඕනේ. වෙන මොකුත් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. I තිබ්බොත් I එක ගන්න මොකද්ද දාන්න ඕනේ? ජෙන්ඩර් එක බලලා he ද she ද කියලා බලලා දාන්න ඕනේ. එච්චරයි. ඒ වගේම time place change එක මතක තියාගන්න. එහෙම මතක තියාගත්තොත් ඔයාලාට ලේසියෙන් reported එක ලියන්න පුළුවන්. So now we are going to discuss our last change. This is the most important change. It's about tense. Tense or verb change. So when you do reported, you have to focus the tenses carefully. So each sentence we have different change. According to the tense only you have to change it. So one by one we will discuss. First one is about simple present. In direct, if you have simple present form, when you write reported, how can you write it? In simple past. You have to change the tense form. You have to change the verb. If you have simple present in direct, you have to change as simple past. Okay. For example, in direct you have these words. What is the word? Feel. So you have feel or feels. When you write reported, you have to write felt. He feels. And irunda, you have to write he felt. Study or studies. In direct, if you have like these verbs, study or studies, how can you change? Studied. Simple past form. Do or does in direct, how can you change? As simple past. So what is the past verb? Did. So in this way you have to change. Okay. Look at this example. Look at this. This is an example for you. Okay. Here's a boy and a girl. So they are talking. They are talking. This boy is telling to this girl, you smell like fish. You smell like fish. Okay. So she got upset. She is going to tell the conversation to another one. Okay, she is going to tell the conversation to another one. So how will she tell? He said, he. So you have to change. So how can you change it? First you have this word, you. So if you have you as subject pronoun, how can you change it? He said. For example, he said, I smell, simple present. So you have to change into simple past. I smelled like fish. He said. அவன் சொன்னான். எப்படி சொன்னான்? I smelled like fish. நான் மீன் மாதிரி මනකරන என்று சொல்லி. මාළු වගේ ගඳ ගහනවා කියලා මෙයා කිව්වා. කියලා මෙයා මෙයාගේ යාළුවාට කියනවා. Not directly. இவங்க தான் டைரக்டா கதைக்கறாங்க. இந்த conversation எடுத்துக்கொண்டு போய் தான் இவ இன்னொரு ஆள்கிட்ட சொல்ல போறா. அப்ப சொல்லக்குள்ள அந்த சேஞ்சஸ் பாருங்க எப்படி வருதுன்னு. Look at these changes. Okay? எப்படி வருதுன்னு பார்த்துக்கொள்ளுங்க. Again I'll explain. படிவா பாருங்க. எப்படி சொல்றாங்க? யார் சொன்னது? First you have to tell. யார் சொன்னாங்களோ அது எழுத வேணும். මුලින්ම ලියන්න ඕනේ කවුද කිව්වේ? කවුරු හරි කියලා තියෙනවා නේද? කවුද කිව්වේ? So he said. If we know their name, you can write Roy said, Raju said, Kamala said, or Vimala said, like that you can write it. If you don't know their name, simply you can write he. According to the gender, you can select. So he said. He said, what? Here you have to do the changes. You is a subject pronoun. How can you change it? He is telling to this girl only. So, I. This is the verb. Smell. How can you change? Simple past. I smelled like fish. Okay. Next one. One more example. The same tense. Look at here. The same tense. Okay. My mother feels sick today. My mother feels sick today. In simple present tense, the direct form is here. In simple present tense. This is a simple present form. Who said this? A girl. We don't know her name. A girl. The girl solra enna solra. My mother feels sick today. So my mother is a simple singular subject. That's why we have add s for the verb. That's a very basic thing. Already you know. Okay. So the girl said. So when we report to someone, when we change into reported, how can you start? Who said? Yaru sonna? Who said this? என்றது எழுதணும். யாரு சொன்னாங்களோ அது எழுத போறீங்க. The girl said that. The girl said that. මෙහෙම කවුද කිව්වා කියලා මුලින්ම ලියන්න ඕනේ. කවුරු හරි කියලා තියන එක තමයි කියන්නේ. එතකොට කවුද කිව්වේ? The girl said. මොකක්ද කිව්වේ? එන්න சொன்னவ the girl. So here only you are going to do the changes. So look at the first change. First, before you do, you have to identify the changes. So what are the changes you have to do? My, definitely you have to change. You know, feels. This is the tense change. Present form. Tense change is here. Time or place change is given. Time or place change. Already we have discussed. How can we change it? The girl said that. Girl, sonna. Enna sonna? My. How can you change this my? Her. Mother. Feel. How can you change? Simple past form. Feels. What is the past form of feel? Felt. What is the past form? F-E-L-T. Felt. So, her mother felt sick that day. Only pronoun change, time or place change, verb change. Only these three changes you are doing. The rest of the words will be as it is. மிச்சம் இருக்கிற words அப்படியே வரும். What are the changes only you have to do? අපි මුලින්ම කතා කරපු වගේම ඒ changes ටික විතරයි කරන්න ඕනේ. ඉතුරු ටික එහෙමම ලියන්න. සීම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. Okay. So, this is about simple present. So, how can you change in simple past? Very good. Shall we discuss the next one? It's about present continuous. So, if you have indirect present continuous, how can you change it? As past continuous. So, if you have am is in direct, how can you change it? You can change was. If you have am is in direct speech, you have to change as was. If you have are in present direct speech, you have to change were. But here you have to write continuous. Here also you have continuous. Means with was you are going to write an ing form, and this were also you are going to write an ing form. The same thing. In present continuous you will have am ing, is ing are ing. That is the structure. I am doing. I am doing. So how can you say? How can you report? Someone said, Pereira said that he was doing that work. So if you have am is indirect, how can you change it? As was. If you have are indirect, you have to change as were. Okay? Look at this example. First one. Here you can see there's a man. He looks very tired or ill. So he is telling, I'm feeling ill. Okay? So carefully, I. So he is telling, I am feeling ill. I am feeling. What's his name? His name is Paul. So his secretary or someone called and informed to someone. இவருக்கு வருத்தம். அப்ப இவர செக்ரட்டரியோ இவர் அசிஸ்டன்ட் வந்து கால் பண்ணி சொல்றே பாலுக்கு உடம்பு சரியில்லை. பால் சொன்னவர் அவருக்கு உடம்பு சரியில்லை என்று நீங்க சொல்ல போறீங்க. அப்ப எப்படி எழுதுவீங்க? How can you write? Paul said that. Paul said that. Paul கிவ்வா. Paul சொன்னவர். என்ன சொன்னவர்? මොකද්ද කිව්වේ? He. First change. I என்ற வேர்டுக்கு பதிலா என்ன எழுத போறீங்க? He. He was. Am வந்தா மாத்துங்கன்னு சொன்ன நான். என்னத்தை மாத்துங்க? Was. According to the subject you have to select. So he was feeling. Same ing form. No change. No change. So he was feeling ill. Clear? Okay? So first you have to identify what are the changes you have to do. After that, one by one you are going to change it. First one, I. If you have I, how can you change it? He. Okay? Next one, am. If you have am in direct, how can you change it? As was. Next one, feeling. The same ing you have to write in reported also. So when you write all these three changes only you have to focus. But before you start, you have to start this structure. Someone said, if you know their name, write their name. You can point it out. Paul said that he was feeling ill. Okay? One more example about present continuous. Look at here. Okay, look at this lady. There's a lady there. The lady is telling, I am working in a private sector now. I am working in a private sector. The lady said to someone, நான் ஒரு private sectorல வேலை செய்கிறேன்னு இவ சொல்றா. මොකද්ද මෙයා කියලා තියන්නේ? මම private sector එකේ වැඩ කරනවා කියලා මෙයා කිව්වා. So අපි reported එක ලියන්න කලින් identify කරන්න ඕනේ what are the changes we have to do in this direct. அப்ப reported எழுத முதல் என்ன செய்ய வேணும்? என்னென்ன changes செய்ய போறோம் என்றதை ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணுங்க. அதுலயே காட்டுங்க. அந்த சென்டென்ஸ்லயே நீங்க காட்டலாம். வேற வேற கலரால நான் உங்களுக்கு போட்டுருக்கிறேன். If you want you can underline. It's your paper. You are going to answer. நீங்க தான் இப்படி எழுத போறீங்க. ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணுங்க. ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ணிட்டு செய்யுங்க. சரி? So this is the pronoun change, helping verb, time or place change. 3 changes given. Okay. How are we going to write it? எப்படி எழுத போறோம்? Who said? කවුද කිව්වේ? The lady said that. The lady said. Lady කිව්වා. මොකක්ද කිව්වේ? She. If you have I in direct, how can you change it as she? Because lady is a female gender. According to the gender, you have to select he or she. அது ஆண் பால் பெண் பால்ன்றதை பார்த்து நீங்கள் select பண்ணணும். he the she the කියලා ඔයාලා decide කරන්න ඕනේ. පිරිමිද ගෑනුද කියලා බලලා. Okay. So she am. Next one. Am இருக்குது. How can you change it? She was working in the private sector. Now அப்படி மாறும், then ண்டு மாறும். So the lady said that she was working in a private sector then. Okay, she was working in a private sector then. Clear? Okay, this is the next change. If you have simple past in direct, how can you change as past perfect? If you have simple past in direct, in the direct form, if you have simple past இருந்தா உங்களோட direct speechல எப்படி இன்டிரெக்ட்டுக்கு மாத்துவீங்க? past perfect tenseக்கு மாத்துவீங்க. விளங்குதா பிள்ளைகள்? ළමයි ඔගොල්ලෝගේ direct speech එකේ simple past වාක්‍ය තියෙනවා නම් කොහොමද change කරන්න ඕනේ? past perfect tense එකෙන් change කරන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට අපිට strike වෙන්න ඕනේ. කොහොමද past perfect tense එක ලියා ගන්න පුළුවන්? කොහොමද ලියන්නේ? What is the structure of past perfect? Quickly you have to get it. அந்த structure என்னன்றது டக்குன்னு நீங்க decide பண்ணி எடுக்கணும். So how can you write it? Look here. In simple past, if you have like this, did. So did is a past form. Okay, did is a simple past verb. How can you change? So what is the structure of past perfect? With had you have to write the past participle of the verb. With the verb had. Had oda past participle. இதுண்ட past participle வரப்போகுது. කොහොමද ලියන්නේ past perfect? had ලියන්න ඕනේ. had එක past participle දාන්න ඕනේ. did එකෙන් past participle මොකක්ද? done. had done. had done. Okay? If you have had as simple past in direct speech, how can you change it? First you have to write the verb had as usual, and you have to write the past participle of this had. What is the past participle form? Had. So again you have to write had. So double had. Had. She had. Okay. Played. This is the past verb. When you change into reported, first you have to write had. With this had you have to write the past participle form. சரியா பிள்ளைகள்? அப்ப உங்களுக்கு விளங்கணும் past participle ட form என்ன? past perfect ண்ட form என்ன? அப்ப had ஓட past participle. அப்ப உங்களுக்கு did என்ற word இருந்தா அங்க reportedக்கு மாத்தக்குள்ள எப்படி எழுத போறோம்? had past participle, did ண்ட past participle என்ன? done. அப்ப had done அப்படி எழுதணும். Okay? Next one, next change. Sorry. Okay, let's look at one more example in the same structure. Look at this picture. Here, this teacher is telling You all must submit this assignment next week. So, when we do the reported, before we do, first we have to identify what are the changes we are going to do. What are the changes? Identify. You must, we have to change it. This, and the last one, next week. Now we have identified. Let's write in reported. Who said this? Who said? The teacher. The teacher said that. We, so you, in our direct speech we have the pronoun you. So how can you change it? We. Teacher said we all had to. If we have must in direct, how can we change? Had to submit. You have to change this as that. Assignment the following week. The following week. This is the only things you have to do. So, I hope students, you all have got a clear idea about our lesson. Isn't it? So, please go through this video. Get the point. Before you do, first, what are the things you are going to do? Pronoun change. So, what are the pronouns you are going to do? Time or place change. Go through the video again and write it separately. What are the changes we have to write it? And tense. One by one you have to study. If you have simple present, how can you change it? If you have simple past, how can you write it? Go through it. Definitely, I am sure if you do in this way, definitely you will do your exam well. You won't make any mistake in reported speech. Okay? ළමයිට තේරුණා නේද? මේ වීඩියෝ එක බලන්න. බලලා මොකද්ද changes ටික කරන්න ඕනේ? pronoun change මොකද්ද දීලා තියන්නේ? ලියා ගන්න. time or place change මොකද්ද දීලා තියන්නේ? වෙනම ලියා ගන්න. tenses තනි තනියෙන් කියලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ටික බලලා ඔයාලාට කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම වැරදි කරන්නේ නැතුව කරන්න පුළුවන්. சரியா பிள்ளைகள்? அப்ப இத திருப்பி பாருங்க. வடிவா பாருங்க வீடியோவை. பார்த்து ஒண்டொண்டா எழுதுங்க. எழுதுனீங்கடா கட்டாயம் இது சம்பந்தமான क्वेश्चन ஸ்டேட்மென்ட்ல வந்தா உங்களுக்கு எழுதக்கூடிய மாதிரி இருக்கும். Okay? That's all. So, in our next lesson, we will discuss about the imperative and question form. After that, we can do a past paper question. Okay?